Assalamu alaikum. Here. Okay, let's put this over here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Can everyone hear me? Assalamu alaikum. Oh, you can hear me. Alhamdulillah. Good, good. We're going to wait for some more people to enter the chat before I begin. Take off my glasses because I don't want to glare. All right, then. So let's see. Actually, let me see if I can go here. This is coffee today. Thanks for asking. All right, looks like we have some people flooding in. Perhaps somebody can link in Discord. That'd be great as well. And then we can begin what I want to discuss. So I suppose I'll start now because I don't want this video to be super long, although it probably will be considering that I rant quite a bit. Walaikum salam. So first off, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. I've actually missed all of you for quite some time. Believe it or not. I know some of you probably think I don't think about you, but in fact, I actually miss all of you quite a bit. I miss speaking with you, and one of the reasons that I'm doing this is so I can have an excuse to talk to all of you. That said, I also wanted to make this stream because I needed to discuss some very important matters relating to this channel, as well as what I've been doing recently, and also to clarify some other issues. So firstly, for those of you who may have noticed already, I have released a quite lengthy article refuting allegations against Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research, an institute that I am a part of as an unpaid fellow. These allegations were brought against the institute by a certain individual who all of you are aware of at this point. And for over a year or so, I have been seeing these false allegations, and I responded to them briefly on social media and things, but I never gave it any sincere serious discussion. So I decided finally I was going to put an end to it. And I put all my talents and abilities into rebutting those accusations. Now, as a result of this, I believe a lot of you were quite upset with me. I noticed that in the chat, in the comments, many people were upset the fact that I had responded. And it was actually quite shocking. It was quite shocking to me that this occurred because for the longest time, a lot of these same individuals were celebrating Daniel's constant barrage of attacks and criticisms against the institute that I worked for. And not once did I see a lot of you, no offense, defend my honor or the honor of my peers. Yet when I put the burden on myself to defend my honor and the honor of my peers, mostly them, I'm told that I've done something wrong. And to me, it's very much unacceptable that individuals have this sentiment, because as Muslims, we have a right to defend our honor and our reputations. And I think that the article that I've written fully proves that we have been dishonored and we have been slandered quite a bit. I think anyone who even goes to the summary of findings will see very clearly some of the more egregious errors that were committed against us. Some of you need to stop actually commenting. Please moderate the comment section. I don't want any sort of vulgar commentary in here. Thank you. So one of the other responses that I've seen is that we should not focus on these lies, this dishonesty, because what's more important is what Yaqeen Institute has apparently done. But I question that logic because it's extremely illogical. So if somebody's been lying about what you're doing, why is it that we have to take responsibility for what they're lying about? So just recently, I uploaded a section onto the paper proving conclusively that Yaqeen Institute does not affiliate with countering violent extremism programs in the United States or elsewhere. Or we do not affiliate with or receive funding or anything of the sort from these organizations, from government anti-extremism initiatives. Okay, and yet still this is being used against us, and I'm being told that no, stop focusing on the lies. Well, what else am I supposed to focus on? Because if they're lies, why should I take responsibility? Or why should we take responsibility? Why should anyone take responsibility for what somebody has lied about? Right? That doesn't make any sense. That's completely unjust, unwarranted. So no, the issue is the lies. The issue is the dishonesty, because the dishonesty is what's promoting this view, a view that none of the people at Yaqeen Institute, behaviors and views that none of the people at Yaqeen Institute actually hold to. So why should Yaqeen Institute and its fellows take responsibility? Now, this is not to say, of course, that Yaqeen Institute is flawless or perfect, by no means. There are things that we always have to work on because we're humans, right? As human beings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us fallible, right? So we're going to make mistakes. Everyone does. But we should not take responsibility for things we haven't done. And we certainly should not take responsibility for lies made against us by an individual who does not take responsibility for anything. Okay, that's just insane. Yes, please block anyone who is speaking ill in this manner, saying all these vulgar things or curse words, etc. This is not that sort of discussion, nor will it ever be. So please ban them promptly. I do not want to have to click through the chat to do that myself. Thank you. Okay. I suppose I have to then. I do not like doing this because one else report done. Okay, cancel. Anyways, where was I? Okay, so I'm going to hide people. There we go. So where was I? I'm sorry about that. And so I took the time to write this refutation purely for the sake of defending the honor of those who were maligned unjustly, and for the sake of truth, and for also the sake of your benefit, for everyone's benefit who follows my work, and just in general. Okay, and that's why I was also quite shocked by people who were upset by it, because I was trying to show you that how you should analyze and understand propaganda, how you should be able to critically think and examine things, right? That was one of the points, to try to increase the standards of our discourse. We should not be complicit in this sort of behavior. We're Muslims. Integrity should be one of the highest virtues that we hold as an ummah and as individuals. I mean, this is indisputable. I mean, in order to advance truth, we have to submit to truth. We have to respect truth, correct? And if we completely throw away those principles, if we say, no, dishonesty is okay because I don't like that person over there, or I don't like that institute, then you've just completely fallen off the manhaj, okay? Or you've fallen off the proper methodology of dawah, okay? That's what we need to understand here. That's what I was trying to help everyone understand. And even in that paper, I gave an olive branch, just apologize, repent for your sins, and we can go back to doing dawah like we're supposed to do. And of course, that was never taken. And it's unfortunate. Someone please ban Hank, or I'm going to do it now myself. Okay, this is ridiculous. Okay, now, in that same paper that I advise all of you to read, at least in part, at the end, I advised myself, because of all of the damage that's been done right now within the Dawah scene, all the corruption, the poison, the cancer that's seeping through the Dawah scene right now, this lack of integrity, the methods of Islamophobia, the methods of Islamophobes. For goodness sake, I'm seeing Muslims utilizing the same methods as Robert Spencer, David Wood, etc., to spread Islam. Okay, this is disgusting. And I no longer want to be a part of that. And I guess one of the other reasons, God, these individuals are really horrible human beings. These individuals are sort of corrupting our dawah. They're corrupting the message of Islam through these dishonest tactics. Likewise, there's this perception now in dawah that speaking, saying it like it is somehow more beneficial than simply speaking the truth as it should be spoken. And what do I mean by that is, it's just being blunt and callous and coarse is somehow more beneficial, but it's not. It's not at all. Okay, Omar, you need to do your job, or I'm going to give somebody else moderator privileges, okay? Because there are too many trolls trying to say very vulgar things, and it's interrupting this discussion, please, okay? So, as I was saying, one of the reasons that I undertook this project, yeah, I hid their messages. One of the reasons that I undertook this project was also because I felt responsible for what's been going on. For the past 10 or so years, I have contributed to this very toxic atmosphere. I provided the soil for which a lot of these individuals now are growing from and gaining influence by. And I felt that it was my responsibility to finally set it right, to redeem myself by removing myself from the scene, but at the same time sending a final message. So it was also my own form of repentance. Okay. So this will be my final refutation. That said, what solidified my decision even more was what I've seen in the past few days. What I've seen in the past few days on Twitter disgust me beyond description. I keep seeing individuals saying things like, well, we're allowed to do these things because they're insulting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And although we should feel pain and anguish at the fact that our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is insulted and degraded, the fact of the matter is that we have to be just in the way that we deal with people. And what I mean by that is that we only go after the perpetrators of those things. We don't go after innocent people around them to make a point. Okay. And I don't want people to take this analogy the wrong way, but I'm trying to teach a lesson here. I'm not saying that the people who are doing this are like the person I'm about to mention. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to prove them and showcase how the mentality is dangerous. If we adopt this mentality that it's okay for us to attack other people's loved ones because our loved ones were attacked, in many ways, we're justifying the logic of people like Osama bin Laden, who himself said that we're allowed to kill innocent men, women, and children because they're killing our women and children. Okay. And that, we can't adopt that principle. We have to be just in all things that we do. We should only go after the individual who has been unjust, not attack people around them to make a point. And if we want to make the point of free speech, we want to make the point of how things should be balanced and things like this, then what we need to do is simply say that. We need to make it that as we need to suggest as an example in an abstract manner. We don't go and attack those people to make that point, because that's being unjust. We say, hey, how would you feel? How would you react if somebody did this to your wife or your kids or your aunt and your uncles and your parents, etc.? Right? We don't go attack those people when they've done nothing. Right? That's wrong. That's not what a Muslim's supposed to do. And in many ways, people are going to look at me and say, hey, aren't you kind of hypocritical because you've done a lot of things in the past? And, although I've never done to this extent, but yes, you would be correct in many ways that if you compare my previous work with what I'm saying now, many things that I'm saying don't exactly fall in line with that behavior. Right. But with all due respect to those of you, please hear me out. I'm trying to reform myself. That's why I'm stepping away from this scene. Okay. Because I no longer can justify it. I can no longer be complicit in it. Okay. And I'm effectively canceling myself, because I know that after I drop this video, I'm going to be canceled. I've already been canceled by a large number of people because of the refutation that I made. But I did it all for the sake of you guys. I did it all for the sake of protecting people's reputations. I did it for the sake of truth. So I honestly don't care anymore, because my integrity and my principles were always higher than anything else. Of course, I've always felt depressed by the fact that I couldn't be more influential. But now, to be honest with you, I'm over it. I'm over it, because I don't want to have my name put next to individuals who completely violate everything that I stand for. And I'm sorry if that sounds harsh to the brothers that you enjoy listening to and learning from, but I can't abide by that. I just can't. I just can't abide by the dishonest tactics, the posturing, the constant showmanship, the theatrics of so-called combat online that doesn't even resemble what real men would do. Just consistent antagonism and disgusting, vulgar, commentary. There is a cancer going through the Dawah scene right now, and it will be destroyed because of that. There is a cancerous mentality, a cancerous lack of ethics that is just filling the hearts of our brothers and sisters online. So let me give you an example of why this is problematic. The recent thing on Twitter, for example, and we'll go back to some other subjects, okay? So imagine you go online on Twitter and you want to be like, I want to stand for the deen. I want to stand for the haqq. I want to be blunt with my faith. I don't care what anybody thinks, right? And you go out there and you start laughing. You're like, haha, yeah, of course I'm proud that we kill murtads. Yeah, blah, 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 right? And you're acting like, I'm a lion of Allah, that's my name, but you know what I mean, what I'm saying, right? What happens when, you're saying this to this arrogant murtad, okay? You're saying it to this arrogant ex-Muslim who just talks nonsense about Islam all day. and he feels bad, and you're showing dominance. But what about the young Muslims who are watching this, who are about to leave the faith because they're confused, and they realize that you're happy about killing them? What about those individuals? Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think that maybe there's a sister or a brother who is suffering, who is in doubts, and then they see somebody just being proud and laughing about the fact that they might be executed? Aren't we supposed to be bringing those people back to Islam? But instead, we're more focused on showing dominance to other people. I can't comprehend this. That said, when they also see the fact that we are engaging in Islamophobic tactics, when we're engaging in quote mining and taking things out of context and slandering people, our own selves, how is it that we can effectively combat Islamophobia and anti-Islam propaganda? I mean, aren't we supposed to be showing the better side of it? Aren't we supposed to be saying, hey, the reason that Islamophobes are wrong is because they're dishonest people? Isn't that the main methodology that I have utilized since day one of opening this channel? That I've been like, remember the masked Arab, apostate prophet, Sargon of Akkad, all these people I've refuted? How have I refuted them? By showing that they are dishonest with the sources, that they are dishonest in the way that they quote the Quran and the Sunnah, that they are dishonest in the way that they deal with their intellectual opposition. And wallahi, that has been the most effective means, because when somebody is dishonest, you can't trust them. Yet, we have Muslims now following so-called orthodox Muslims who are apparently on the haqq. They're following and promoting the same tactics. Wallahi. Somebody please ban these people. Who wants to be a moderator? Who can I trust? Mokit as well. Okay, I need you guys to help Omar. Any threats to people's lives or vulgar commentary, I want those people to ban immediately, please. Okay, I'm tired of having to see this nonsense. Okay. Thank you. I've just moderated 3 people, so have fun. So anyways, the paper is there as an example to show you how we should be conducting ourselves. It's my last example to all of you. It's my redemption. It's my farewell present in many respects. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going away forever. Obviously, I'm just leaving the refutation scene. I will still be teaching. I'll still be writing articles. I'll still be making some videos, things like this for your benefit. But I'm distancing myself completely from this culture. I don't want to be part of it. I don't care anymore. If they want to put me on a podcast, if they want to, invite me to events, if they want to cancel me altogether, that is fine, because I would rather they cancel me than suffer my reputation any further and suffer my principles any further. Wallahi, I'm sorry. I love these brothers for the sake of Allah. but I do not love what they're doing, and I no longer want to be poisoned by it. Okay, I've been poisoned enough by the rhetoric of atheists and ex-Muslims for over a decade. I don't need to now from my own brothers and sisters. Wallahi, I don't need that. Okay, please ban World Citizen. And Islamic Clarity. Ban him as well. Yes, even refuting non-Muslims. So please ban Awesome Dude as well. And ban World Citizen. Thank you. I want to ban everyone in here trying to spread this toxic nonsense. I don't need this. We don't need this. We need to be upping our game. We should be upping our standards here. Okay, this is the purpose of this discussion. I wanted to initially make this sort of like lecture video, kind of explaining things, but I've decided that is not. I want to be more personal with you guys, so I think this is a better format. Okay, thank you very much. So I also have some other personal issues in my life, not issues, but things going on in my life, which are also prompting me to leave this scene entirely. For those of you who have read the paper, I kind of gave some clues, aside from the fact that I want to better myself and sort of bury myself in studying the Quran and the Hadith. But at the same time, I'm also going to be a father very soon, inshallah. And that sort of also helped me to kind of give me a wake-up call that, you know, if I truly stand for integrity and honor and things like this is something that I want to teach my own children. I want to be exemplars for. And I can't do that in this. It doesn't work that way. So, Jazakallahu khairan. So I'm asking all of you, please, to sincerely read what I've written and to please understand where I'm coming from, and please value integrity and honor above all things in the matter of discourse and intellectualism, because those are the things that we as Muslims should be exemplifying more than anyone in the world. And if we really wanted to honor the Islamic tradition, if we want to honor our scholars, if we want to honor, of course, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the most, and the Quran, we need to uphold these principles beyond everything else. And I'm sorry if it sounds like a halakha from somebody who is not worthy of giving one. And you'd be correct in many respects. I'm not a credible scholar. I'm not a credible anything. I'm just an academic, a student of knowledge. But I know this to be true. And I know it because of what the scholars have said. I know it because that's what the Quran and Sunnah teach, is that you do not mix truth with falsehood. And I have stuck to that, even in my own vulgarities and my own mockery and my own, childish displays that I've done over the years, my own egoism. I know for a fact that at very least that I've stuck to those principles of honor and integrity. And those are the things that I'm taking with me when I leave. But I wanted you all to adopt those things and discard everything else about me that I have taught you over the years. So for those of you, so I guess that's really what I wanted to say, to be honest. The paper is linked on Twitter. It's on my blog, actually, as well. It's linked on Twitter. It's linked in the community chat on my YouTube page. I just updated it today with the CVE section. I'll be updating with more sections in the future. I have the LGBT section to update soon, and then 2 other ones in the Sharia section. So I guess before leaving, I don't want to make this too long. I suppose I just want to kind of open the floor for questions about that paper specifically, about, how to navigate it if you want, what should be looked for. If you have any questions specifically about what was written therein, feel free to ask, and I'll answer those questions. Also, or anything else for that matter, if you guys just want to talk, I can give another 30 minutes or so just to have a discussion. So I believe the stream will be left up, yes. Certainly, please ask. Perhaps I'll look at the questions, but let me let me talk about this refutation culture. It's never been flawless. It's never been perfect by any means, but I think it's become worse than it's ever been. Like I said, I've been over here in this culture for over a decade, and I've never seen it this bad. And I remember the first time that I was invited to it, that I was invited into the culture, that I was invited into this Dawah scene, this form of Dawah, and it was by Brother Abdullah al-Andalusi. And Abdullah has always been, for me, one of the greatest examples of adab and intellectualism on this medium, on not only just YouTube and social media, but in general as a da'i. I have respected him for that alone. I have such a great respect for him for that alone. Hamza Sources also comes to mind. He's a good man. We disagree on a bit, and there are times that to be frank with you, I've been kind of upset at him, but that's a different story. It's quite petty actually. But I cannot say anything bad about Hamza in terms of his adab and his sincerity. And I love them for the sake of Allah. I love them for the sake of Allah. And I wish they weren't being drowned out right now, that their work wasn't being spit on by individuals who, in their naivety, in their, I wouldn't even say zealousness, because to me it's not zealousness. It's a facade of zealousness. In their posturing, are just kind of stepping over everything that has been done. So, it upsets me. It upsets me quite a bit. And it's just, I'm done now. I've literally, everything that I used to feel bad about has been replaced by something else. And what I mean by that is, initially I thought there was something, I failed this community because I wasn't doing it right. I wasn't doing Dawah right. But it wasn't that. I failed for a different reason. I failed because I did not correct a lot of the bad elements that were seeping in, and I did not correct myself fast enough, my own behavior, my own lack of adab, that it created the soil for other things to grow. That's where I failed. That's really where I failed. And I'm very sorry. Wallahi, I'm very sorry. And I ask all of you for, for forgiveness for not dealing with it sooner, for being too worried about my own influence instead of worrying about the type of influence I was actually giving. And that is my fault. And now I am trying to correct it before leaving so that I can do, give a greater benefit to this ummah from a different place, somewhere else. So I suppose that's really it. I don't want to be talking for too long, but essentially my goals after all of this, after I'm finished writing and publishing this stuff, I intend to continue working with the Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research. I continue to work on myself and study under a sheikh. And I just will continue writing articles and hopefully, inshallah, doing lectures and trying to help the youth outside of social media. I'll probably also be dropping off social media almost entirely. I'll probably keep my Facebook and the YouTube channel, obviously, but only post things that I'm doing outside. Inshallah, I have some good news coming with respect to one of my papers on my blog that was initially independent. I think you guys are aware of it. It was a paper that I wrote not too long ago about science in the Quran that is now going to be officially published for Yaqeen, inshallah, after some editing. So, hopefully that will be a benefit to many more people. So, and as you can probably tell, also, I'm very tired. Look at my eyes. My beard is completely almost gray now. I haven't been sleeping much for the past 2 weeks. I've been getting like 4 hours of sleep every day because I'm working and also working on this refutation at the same time. So it's not good for my health. No, I'm not going to re-upload that video because I don't think it's necessary. Yeah, I do want to redo Understanding Atheism series. I think that would be good. This channel is going to be about, now it's going to be less about refutations, and it's going to be more about teaching Muslims how to think, teaching Muslims how to read, teaching Muslims how to perceive things without necessarily having to attack people. I know that was an interesting and fun method at one point, and iJihad is still something that I really want to play with, but I think it's going to be less involved with the refutation culture than it used to be, entirely, actually. Walaikum salam. So what else? Yes, I mean, just look at Yaqeen Institute and stuff like this. I mean, of course, social media is the primary means of communication these days, unfortunately. So that's where I'll be posting everything that I do. Anytime that I upload a lecture or something of that sort, I'll do it here, obviously. But I may start deleting certain things. I may start to get rid of certain things because I just don't feel that I want to. I don't want to be attached to a former identity of that this channel had. Yeah, so I'll probably teach more philosophy from an Islamic perspective as an Athari. Khalifa videos would be great. I could continue doing those. Right now, I'm just very tired, so I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm actually exhausted, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I'm just very tired. I don't even want to do anything, to be honest. So, but I do have an obligation to all of you I have an obligation to this ummah, and I have an obligation, of course, first and foremost to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I must keep with that obligation my duty as a Muslim. Inshallah, the baby, it's still very early, so we're, but inshallah, hopefully be February or March. So it's like I said, it's very early. Okay, but inshallah, it'll that's when the baby will be due. We've already picked out names. I'm not going to tell you, but when it gets later on, then inshallah, maybe I'll reveal what the names are, depending on the gender, of course. Thank you so much. My views on politics, I don't like politics. I don't involve myself with politics. I already have enough to think about. Thank you. I'm still going to be affiliated with MDI, and don't worry about it. It's fine. You're okay. I'll still be affiliated with MDI because I stand for what Abdullah al-Andalusi and Zara Faris and all of them do. I think that they should be at the forefront of this scene, of this refutation culture, actually. They should be the ones leading it, not many individuals that I'm currently seeing and that I've engaged with that are considered to be the most popular now. They, in fact, have everything that the Muslims need within this particular culture, and I think that they should be lauded as the leaders of this sort of dawah. Unfortunately, they've been sidelined and overshadowed by individuals who get people's attention based on entertainment value, based on bombastic displays of, theatrics. It seems like our youth are more seem more prone to enjoying memes and callousness and mockery, which is unfortunate. Yes, I do believe the pragmatic approach can be very beneficial, which is something that I'll be writing about later from the perspective of Ibn Taymiyyah. In the meantime, for those of you who want to read up on Ibn Taymiyyah's epistemology with respect to atheism and belief in God, I think that you should go to Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research, the website, and look up one of our more recent articles on Ibn Taymiyyah's epistemology by Dr. Nazar Khan. It's a very lengthy article, very erudite, chock full of facts about how Ibn Taymiyyah perceived epistemology, and especially with respect to belief in God. So I'm not here to speak of the intentions of anyone necessarily. I'm here to say that the methods are incorrect according to Quran and Sunnah, as far as I'm aware. And I see no good evidence. Bringing up Abu Bakr's one-time rebuttal to somebody is not evidence that this is a common standard practice that we should engage in, nor is it in any way, shape, or form justification for attacking people's loved ones. And I find it actually to be, frank, an indirect insult to Abu Bakr himself, to one of the companions, astaghfirullah. So, I don't think it was intentional by any means, but, it is quite insulting to compare what you're doing on Twitter with what Abu Bakr has done. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. the best way to counter Islamophobia is to have integrity, because the Achilles heel of Islamophobes is their lack of integrity. Right. If you reveal their dishonesty with Islamic source material and scholarship, then you can undermine them quite easily. But if we adopt their tactics, then that's not going to happen. Right. Especially, it's quite ironic considering the fact that we are opposed to this idea that we're doing taqiyya, and yet we have Muslims who are actively doing what Islamophobes think we do with each other. It's quite sad. One can expose inconsistencies without being unjust, right? I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you could just bring it up as an example in an abstract way. You don't have to actually perform that thing itself. Like if somebody, hurt my family, I'm not going to hurt their family and be like, see, I'm just proving a point. No, that's wrong. I have a couple more minutes, guys. We're going to have more talks in the future, inshallah, but just not like this. This is coffee, actually. This is a macchiato. Yes, I'm very fancy. I'm just making a comparison, an analogy. I still do want to make the Christchurch shooting, but I think that I'm going to turn it into more of an academic exercise. One where I will reveal conclusively that Robert Spencer. One of the reasons that Robert Spencer hates me so much is not even so much that I pointed out his cowardice with respect to debate and his inability to fulfill his agreements, but he's upset with me because he knows for a fact that I found out, not just found out, that I can logically, factually connect his ideas to Christchurch. That's one of the other reasons that he does not like me very much. Yes, I've had Turkish tea. I like it very much. I like all tea for the most part. Yes, at one point I did, when that individual actually went after me personally, and then I promptly deleted after she stopped. See, but I did not just go on attacking people just because I wanted to prove a point. So you have to understand, Islam, we only go after those who are unjust. We don't go after people around them to hurt that person. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. Like, if that's the case, yes. Like I said, but this is not, we're not, what happened on Twitter, and this is the last time I'm going to talk about it, was not just, okay, well, this woman also says this, so we're going to go after her. No, it was everyone affiliated with those individuals to prove a point that you're not supposed to attack somebody's loved ones. Okay, that was the problem. So even if we concede to the fact that one of them is not innocent, it doesn't mean the other ones, it somehow makes it justified. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is the point that I'm trying to make here, because it was never established that all of those people who were attacked were somehow guilty. All right, and I know of one of them who definitely was not guilty. She didn't deserve any sort of that embarrassing harassment or any other such thing. So I'm not going to even go into this. Okay, so let's stop trying to justify this. Okay, you have no justification from Quran and Sunnah for this at all. All right, so I'm not going to even entertain this discussion any further. Once again, let me bring up a more extreme example. But like I said, the person who used that same logic to kill innocent people was Osama bin Laden. He even used a lot of the sources that are being used online to make this argument. Okay, so let's stop. This is wrong. Okay, it doesn't matter. Quran also says that we should still have justice, and we should not let our aversion to people, our hatred of people, to be unjust. We should not have that be a cause of us being unjust. Right? It doesn't matter how much you hate somebody. It doesn't mean we'd be unjust with them. Okay? We are Muslims. We are not those people. They are disgusting people. These murtadeen that are on here trying to make a name for themselves because they hate Islam, they're disgusting human beings. They will be fuel for the fire, inshallah. Unless, of course, they repent, obviously, right? But right now, they deserve, they're not to be respected. However, we respect our deen, we respect our principles, we respect Islam, we respect the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, we do not interpret our deen based on their behavior. Correct? Khalas. To tackle extreme Western supremacy, to destroy Western hegemony, to destroy secular liberal ideology that's overcoming the Muslim world today, not just in the West, not just among Muslim minorities, right? But among every Muslim on the planet now. There's a hegemony over us. Places like Bangladesh, Pakistan, UAE, other places, secular liberalism is taking over. Okay, which is why I find it fascinating why so many people in Southeast Asia or in Asian countries are so fascinated with the Yaqeen Institute and criticizing what we're doing here. Because you have your own problems, much bigger ones in many respects. But anyways, the way to tackle this is first we have to become independent from these ideas. We have to become independent in such a way that we don't need to latch ourselves to the West. We have so many rich Muslims, for example, who do not invest in science or education and other such things. Muslims culturally in many places in the world only want certain professions for their children: engineers, doctors, lawyers, business people. We need to also be focused on the humanities like librarianship, things like this. We need to be able to become self-sustainable, right? If we really want to break away, we first need to actually take practical steps towards doing that. And we have to cultivate an intellectual culture based on integrity and honor to our sources and to facts. That's how we're going to defeat secular liberalism. Secular liberalism is a reactionary ideology that only destroys. Okay? It only destroys to free people from their shackles. And if we adopt a reactionary approach, we're only allowing liberalism to come in and take over. You cannot destroy a reactionary ideology through reactionaryism, or I don't even know if that's a word, through being reactionary. Right? That doesn't make any sense. It's going to be a long process. Wallahi, it's going to be long time. But what we're doing now, this culture, this refutation culture that we have now, is going to be the end of us. Is going to be the end of Dawah. I do not care. Look, I'm going to be frank with you. I don't care about the feelings of these popular murtadeen. I don't care. Wallahi, I don't care. They can, piss off. Excuse my French. Okay? I care about those young Muslims who have doubts, who are watching this and are going to leave Islam because of it. That's what I'm concerned with. Okay? That's what I'm concerned with, because those are the people we should be worried about, not the people who are so full of themselves, who have such huge egos, who are narcissists, who the arrogant ones that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about in the Quran that will be fuel for the hellfire. Okay, whatever. I'm talking about the people whose hearts can still be softened. I'm talking about the people who still have an open mind, who are watching us just playing around, acting like it's funny to kill people. Astaghfirullah, that we're proud of it. We should not be proud of punishing people. What is this? What is this? My method has always been really balanced. When you see people mocking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first thing you need to ask is if they're ignorant. In ignorance, many people can say stupid things. There's a difference between being extremely arrogant and just ignorant and foolish. And of course, people can be both as well. But wallahi, legitimately, I have actually turned people away from doing that by approaching them with compassion and peace and showing them facts. And then there are people who you have to rebut in a harsh manner in order to protect the deen of others. Okay. But you have to be strategic. You have to be practical in many ways as well. You can't just just descend upon them with these vulgarities. You have to also consider the audience, because remember, it's not about, whenever I rebutted and refuted a lot of these ex-Muslims, right, and Islamophobes, I didn't do it because I wanted to destroy them per se, but because I wanted to show Muslims who had doubts about from watching their videos and reading their articles, etc. I wanted them to see that these people could not be trusted. So if I just engaged in posturing and just trying to belittle these people, I don't think it would be as effective. Now, of course, I sprinkle in some little quips and stuff for good entertainment, and but I don't. That's not the substance of my methodology, and it shouldn't be anybody's. Okay. So I just go back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And once again, I'm speaking to myself when I say these things to you all. Take after his example. He was extremely calm in the face of insult. Excuse me, my apologies. And yes, we should have ghira for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and for our religion. But we also have to follow his example, correct? I mean, that's the part of following the sunnah, right? So when we have this ghira, we also have to consider, look, what would the Prophet ﷺ do in this circumstance? And if you read the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, you'll know he's a very balanced person. He does not react the same to everyone, right? He doesn't. He gauges that person's character. He gauges that person, like what that person is trying to do. He gauges he tries to see what age they are. Are they a young person? Are they an old person? What sort of beliefs do they hold? What's their demeanor? How have they acted in the past? How are they acting now? He measures everything before he makes his reaction, right? He doesn't just he didn't just blurt things out. He didn't just say the same thing to everyone. Some people he would tell them even different advice depending on that person's characteristics. He wouldn't give the same answer to everyone, correct? So we have to be the same way. And of course, this is a very nuanced approach. And we have da'is now who are claiming that nuance is an excuse. Now, let's be frank, of course, there are certain academics who use the nuance card to make excuses, but not all of them do. And when we talk about nuance, we should always see that as mostly a positive word. Because reality is not simple, it's complex. Our circumstances are complex. The way that we live is complex. The way that we perceive things is complex. Nuance is not a bad word. In fact, nuance is the enemy of Islamophobes because they rely on oversimplifying things. They rely on memes. They rely on their audience only seeing things in black and white and just very simple terms. That's why they're so effective. The same way with Trump and Modi and all of these corrupt politicians who are frankly idiots, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and evil to the core, but they command such a wide audience because they tell it like it is in simple terms. They tell you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. Right? Same thing with Yaqeen Institute. We're trying to tell you what you need to hear based on the nuances of the tradition, whereas there are certain individuals who are trying to tell you just what you want to hear. Okay, now once again, no side is perfect, but I'm trying to make a point. Okay, and the scholars in general, look, even if you don't like Yaqeen Institute, let's forget this for a moment. The greatest scholars of old, they wrote volumes of works, volumes on the most simple things, but they were so erudite. They looked at every single angle of every ayah, of every hadith, of the sunnah, okay? They wrote huge volumes of works. The fiqh tradition is defined by its nuance. And yet we have people out there saying, oh, nuance is an excuse. Mental gymnastics. Astaghfirullah. What have we become? Seriously. What are we becoming? So I guess I'm just gonna keep ranting if I keep going like this. Um, what do I do to work out? No, you're gonna. So a lot of people don't know this about me. I've said it. I've talked about it a couple times, but um, okay. So I was a amateur fighter for some time. So I went to uh, the youth Olympics for Taekwondo, things like this. Um, and I was like a national champion and things like this. And then of course I got hurt. Some of you who watched my biography video, you'll know that I was hurt quite badly and told not to fight again. So, but I need to keep up with that. I still love martial arts. I still train, but I train in a different way. Shortly after uh, rehabilitating my body, um, I started to find comfort and in a different form of exercise that I really, really enjoyed. Um, and having grown up in kind of a bad part of town as well, I was always into hip hop music. So I became a break dancer. Believe it or not, there's some videos of me out there dancing. Um, and yeah, I actually still break dance to this day in private or at a park where most people can't see me. But I still practice my moves and stuff because it's actually a lot of exercise. Um, yeah, I know it's funny, but I actually can do breakdancing. Um, so yeah, so it's actually a huge workout. If you got, you wouldn't believe how much strength it takes to be. And I'm not as good as I used to because I'm older now, you know. But yeah, it's a workout. You don't really need weights. Now I do go to the weight room occasionally to work on like my chest and stuff. And I've really been slacking the past few months. I gained a lot of weight that I need to lose down in the stomach area, so I'm trying to work on that, get back into form. But generally, that's what I do. So yeah, no, I'm not going to show you an example. I'm wearing a thobe. uh, Inshallah, I'm writing a book. I don't know much about Islamabad or Pakistan, to be honest with you. Breaking in a thobe would break my leg, probably. Yeah. So I take 3 sugars in my coffee. I have a pretty bad sweet tooth. My wife is like the opposite of me. She loves spicy food like crazy. So, which is why we both like Malay food, interestingly enough, because Malay food is both sweet and spicy. So, I do like sports. When I was younger, I played baseball a little bit. And of course, martial arts was my main one. I am not super fit right now. To be frank with you, when I watched that debate the first time between Wood and Hijab, I actually believe that Wood deserved, because it's actually difficult for me to actually judge, even though I feel that he deserved it. At the same time, I'm conflicted because he is legitimately a psychopath, right? He can't control that behavior. So in a way, it's like I'm kind of conflicted. But yeah, I do consider him generally to be a detestable human being. Um, yeah. Can I say Pakistan Zindabad? Yes, I can say Pakistan Zindabad. Thomas Kuhn is my favorite philosopher. Um, yes, most of my work is going to be, not most of it, but a lot of my work is going to be focused on science and philosophy, and sort of also tackling the science in the Quran, uh, Dawah. It's almost, no, it's already over an hour. Hmm. Yes, Christian apologists have been taking advantage of Yasser Qadhi's comments for quite some time, and we're fueling the fire by insisting that they're correct, by attacking Yasser Qadhi so much. In fact, he was we have been disparaging him for quite some time. This community, and it's quite sad. Despite whatever mistakes he has made, he's also done quite a bit of good, and we treat him like he's a worse enemy than people like Robert Spencer are. And then we tried to justify it on the basis that, we need to get rid of all these deviants in our community. That's the big issue right now. It's like, well, first off, you need to establish deviancy, and not simply because of a secondary thing, that a secondary issue or something. Like if you're going to establish that somebody is deviant because they have an opinion about Gog and Magog that isn't found in the Quran and Sunnah, but isn't also explicitly mentioned as being opposed to Quran and Sunnah, then there's something wrong with your deen, or your understanding of your deen, more than what that person is saying. Just being frank, we're picking. We have a community of nitpickers going around trying to literally going through hours of videos and articles trying to find something we can call somebody deviant for. That's a disease of the heart. Okay, that I'm going to be frank with you. I am an Athari, yes. I'm Athari by creed. Inshallah, I'll get rest one day. A good book, Ibn Rajab. Anything written by Ibn Rajab, if you can find translated, is great for the soul. I've been reading a lot of Ibn Rajab, uh, Hanbali. He's been really helping me, especially his commentary on the 40 Hadith of Imam Nawawi. Is that correct? Yes, I believe it is. Uh, I'm Athari because it makes the most sense. And yes, it is very pragmatic. but I don't adopt it because it's pragmatic necessarily. It's beneficial for that sake, but yeah, but no, you're not blocked, Wolfgang. Muzzy Buzz, miss you, brother. I'm hoping to speak with you very soon, by the way, regarding some things about the article. I do not like Sony, or I mean, I like them, but I don't own a Sony or Microsoft system because I don't really care for them. I'm a Nintendo fan. I believe, let me see. I'm not against the Ashari and Maturidis. I mean, look, there are a lot of traditional scholars who adopted either one of those positions, and I don't disparage them. May Allah forgive them for any of their mistakes and sins, and likewise forgive me. But I'm not gonna cancel scholars because of things like that. I'm sorry, I just can't, and I don't understand why other people do. Like Ibn Rushd, for example. Like I quote him quite a bit when it comes to fiqh because he was a master of fiqh, right? And there are people telling me, oh, but he believed in Aristotelian, philosophy, kalam. It's like, yeah, okay, but he was still a master of fiqh, right? I'm not going to throw away the Bidayat because he believed in Aristotelianism. Oh, I love Dragon Ball Z back in the day. I was always a big fan of Vegeta. He's always the best character on the show. I'm happy that Adam Saleh is mending divides, but at the same time, I mean, with the health of the refutation culture right now, he's coming in at a very bad time. So I'd actually tell him to kind of like not engage because it might actually even be worse for him at this point, or at least engage in a different, like kind of from a distance. I like my favorite anime was Trigun. It's only 23 episodes or something, but it's one of the most amazing animes you'll ever see in your life. So watch it. Dragon Ball Super was good too, especially the last fight. The last episode was like it made the entire series. I'm sorry. My view on evolution. Of course, I believe that Adam is completely separate. The Adamic line, the line that we come from, is completely separate. But I am also willing to believe that hominids or creatures that are like us existed side by side and then became extinct. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't see it conflicting with the Quran and Sunnah as long as I believe that Adam, of course, was specially created and that we only came from his line. So that's my position. I held a mistaken position prior to this from my misunderstanding of genetics and genealogy. And it was a very simple mistake, and I apologize for having it. But at no point did I think the main problem was that I didn't sincerely analyze that belief because I don't really engage too much with evolution unless I'm using it to support certain positions. Like, for example, I utilized evolutionary theory to defend Aisha being 9 years old and mature at that age. But of course, that didn't have anything to do with common ancestry. So I never really questioned it until recently, like a couple months back. When I was writing this refutation, I actually started reading more of Dr. Jalajal's views, and he gives a number of views, possibilities. And the more that I read from him and kind of discussed with him, I came to the realization that my prior position was actually not the most correct one. to put it lightly. So I kind of switched, and I realized that there was other options. So I took that option. So that's why I said on Twitter that he helped me, because he did. Mu'tazila creed is wrong, obviously. So, and also you have to understand my view of science as well is it's ever changing. So, eventually, this whole concept of evolution may be overturned by a different paradigm. So I'm not really attached to it that much. Like, it doesn't really affect me. I don't think that science could ever find out, can ever provide absolute proof that Adam and Eve existed. I believe in Adam and Eve because of the Quran and Sunnah. I believe in Adam and Eve because that makes sense, in accordance with our cohering with our perception of reality. I don't need empirical evidence to believe in Adam and Eve. Okay, and anyone who says that you need that or that it's even possible, I'm sorry, that person is in error. Okay. But I mean, okay, so let's just remove common ancestry for a moment, guys, but adaptation and mutation is a scientific fact. And there's a lot of things we can learn from evolutionary theory. So, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. Okay. Like I said, I used evolutionary theory, life history theory, which is a product of evolutionary theory, to showcase that Aisha was mature at the age of 9 back then. Right. So, I mean, look, it can also be beneficial. Consider this. Okay. Yeah, I think evolution tends to be simplified too much, because there's even debates within evolutionary science. I mean, if you read some of these papers, like, they're disagreeing with each other all the time. I mean, what Darwin believed, a lot of scientists don't believe anymore. They have a completely different understanding of evolution compared to what he did. So you have to be very cautious about how you perceive these things. When people say Darwinism, I kind of cringe, because it's like, most scientists aren't Darwinist. um, thank you. I haven't really looked into the hadith literature that much regarding his actual size, and if that's what it says, then that's what I believe. If it's sound, that's what I believe. Yeah, I mean, actually, Christians have kind of made it a bigger deal. I don't know what Richard Dawkins. I don't even think Richard Dawkins knows what he is. He doesn't even know where he is half the time. He's on Twitter. He doesn't even know what he's typing. The guy is almost senile. Like, let's forget Richard Dawkins. He's old news. So if you really want to understand evolution from a very intellectual perspective, the late Stephen Jay Gould's work. Stephen Jay Gould, okay, he was an American scientist who disagreed with Dawkins on a lot of things, and actually Dawkins hated him. He was jealous of him. Gould passed away a long time ago, but he wrote a lot of good work on the subject. I respect Sabur Ahmed quite a bit. And Shoaib Ahmed Malik, by the way, and Shoaib was very upset, by the way, what happened to Dr. Jalajal. Like, he respects him profoundly. So if you respect Shoaib Malik, just know that he respects and admires Dr. Jalajal. So don't stand for any slander against Dr. Jalajal. Okay, that's if you respect Shoaib, because he won't stand for that. Just being honest with you guys. No, now we're talking philosophy and science. I don't know about the building of pyramids. I don't know any. I don't really study that stuff. Take what is good and leave what is bad, but never follow somebody who doesn't have the integrity to represent their opposition as they are and what they actually believe, and who is not willing to steel man their arguments. What I mean by steel manning is opposite of straw manning. When you straw man, you build a mischaracterization, a misrepresentation of somebody's arguments to burn it down. When you steel man, you build the strongest possible form of their argument and then attack it, because that's what a person with integrity would do. Um, Logic is a language to express the way that we think or should think rationally. It's not an actual thing in and of itself. But our intuition is our primary means of understanding things. I did watch some of that debate, yes. I found it to be quite poor, to be frank. And I'm not speaking simply because I have some sort of personal grudge, but I just felt there was a very poor discussion debate, unbefitting of either side. Well, no, actually, one side, no, that was pretty much expected, because one side's an idiot, but the other side, has a great deal of education and should have never engaged in such a performance. Well, it's easy to expose a simpleton. Any simpleton can do that, right? But an educated person should never really deal with that sort of individual unless it's in an academic platform, as far as I'm concerned now. A steel man is not a fallacy. A steel man is not considered fallacious, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to build their argument, trying to make their argument as strong as possible. Like you're playing your own devil's advocate. Okay, you're trying to say, okay, this person could be wrong about this, but let me give him the greatest benefit of the doubt that he actually meant this, because this seems more logical. This seems more to make more sense. And then you destroy that. And if you destroy the steel man, then you actually win the debate. You actually win the discussion, the argument. But if you destroy the straw man, you haven't won anything. You're just posturing. I don't really care for the Muslim, Brotherhood, whatever, political party. Do I think a degree in philosophy is worth it? Yes, I do. I think it's helpful as long as you go in knowing that what you're learning is not absolutely the case. Like a lot of people have this perception that the moment you walk into like a philosophy 101 class, you're going to lose your iman. I don't buy that. The reason I don't buy that is because I feel like the people who do lose their faith when they go into philosophy have already kind of gone down that path, are already thinking about going down that path, or already have a weak understanding of what their religion is, and also have a weak understanding of philosophy itself. Philosophy 101 course should not question your faith, because if you go to philosophy 101, you're just learning like basic stuff that in more advanced philosophy classes is largely considered obsolete, or like the discussion has like moved on. You know what I mean? Like I've seen people say, well, after reading Descartes or reading Hume, I became an atheist. I'm like, why? You know how many people responded to them since like 100 years or the past 100 years? Like, really? Come on. Like nobody listens to Hume anymore. It's just ridiculous. People insinuating that accusations made in the article are irrelevant to the adversary's points. No. Yeah, I've seen the whole accusation of nitpicking. I find that very fascinating, considering, that taking people out of context and committing fallacies isn't nitpicking in, any degree. I mean, it's an error. If I was nitpicking, I'd be focusing on typos and like spelling mistakes, things like this. But I didn't. I focused on issues of factual inaccuracy, fallacious reasoning, and clear cases of dishonesty. I've discussed that already. We're all on the same topics for some reason. Let's get beyond. I don't really want to talk about people. The only reason that I brought those individuals up in passing indirectly is because I wanted to make a point. I'm trying to discuss the problems of the Dawah scene today. I'm not trying to hurt these people. Wallahi, I only wish the best for these people. And I pray that they just increase the standards of our discourse. Okay. So I'm not trying to say that I want them to go away, that I want them to be canceled. I just want them to reform themselves to make it better. They have the abilities, the talents to do those things. They shouldn't be engaging in this sort of behavior and poor rhetoric. Okay, that's my point. And I'm not even saying that I am perfect by any means. That's why I'm doing these things, is because I'm redeeming myself, right? I am very upset about people who don't wear masks, especially in the United States. Even if you notice how I dealt with the masked Arab, how did I deal with him? Yes, I put some satire in there, some mockery in some cases, but it was only with respect to certain things he said and his sort of his arrogant attitude. I didn't go after his everything. And I deconstructed him, analyzed him academically. Right. I mean, if that's the standard that you want, then that's what we need to be shooting for. I'm not going to be here doing that anymore. But if that's what you want out of Dawah, then you need to tell your da'is, these people, to do that. Correct? You need to give them nasiha. You need to tell them, to advise them. Okay, let's stop promoting this culture of memery and vulgarity and disgusting, dishonest tactics. Tell them to up their game. Tell them that integrity matters above everything else. Not telling it like it is. Because if you don't have integrity when you tell it like it is, then you're not saying anything. Right? You're spitting on the truth. You're undermining the truth. You're lying to people. You're deceiving people. Right? This is wrong. Yeah, and where's the masked Arab now? Right? Nowhere. Because I stuck to what? Integrity. If I played his game, do you think that would have done anything? No. Imagine if I would have released a video just strawmanning everything he said and just trying to just find any way to win, you know what I mean, without any measure of integrity. If he pointed that out, I would have lost all credibility, right? I would have been called a Muslim who's engaging in taqiyya, right? Do we not see the danger of this? That's what I'm trying to tell you all. Come on, think about this. Thank you. It's already an hour and 30 minutes. Crazy. My story coming to Islam is not that exciting. I'm sorry. It's on my bio video. It's very simple. I was disillusioned with Christianity and I found Islam to be more coherent. And that was it. Yeah, a lot of regrets from Dawah Films days, of course. I conducted myself inappropriately many times. I was too rambunctious or too impulsive in many respects. I didn't think things through. I felt that I was being zealous, but a lot of times it was my ego, and that's why I was ultimately defeated, because I defeated myself. Um, so when I started this channel, I decided I was going to go a different route. Even then, I'm still growing. I'm still trying to better myself. So, inshallah, I'd like to do that. I like those comics. They're really fun. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Goodness me. Can't stay too much longer. I want to talk to you guys. That's why I'm here longer, because I enjoy speaking with all of you. Um, at the same time, you shouldn't concern yourself too much with a lot of these online personalities, ex-Muslim personalities, because I'm guaranteeing you right now, the reason that they do a lot of this is because of the misery and depression that they feel in their real lives outside of this medium, because of their impotence, their social intellectual impotence in general. So they're trying to project what they want to be here. They act like they're completely different people online than they are offline. That's something you need to understand. Okay, a lot of things that they're doing here are not things that they do in real life. Inshallah, please do. Please keep up the good fight. Thank you. I feel bad for Vasim. Vasim is very angry. I actually think Vasim is actually Abdullah Samir, but whatever. Because he has enough time on his hands to make that account. Um, but if Vasim is a different person who's just like this angry child, angry young guy, I do wish that he comes around and he's guided. But if he's going to troll, troll him back. Have a little fun with him. Expose the hypocrisy and things like this, but do it in such a way that you're not like going too far, right? I think introverted smiles is correct to drop the explicit label because it's being utilized in such a way to advance Islamophobia. And I've been saying this for a very long time. So I'm very happy to see that a lot of some ex-Muslims are finally adopting this approach because they realize that they're being used, right? Like you're being used to go against Muslims, right? So you need to just get rid of it. Define yourselves by what you believe in. Don't define yourselves by what you're not. That doesn't even tell anybody anything. Like if I go around saying I'm an ex-Christian, what does that mean? Oh, I left Christianity. Okay, well, what do you believe? I'm an ex-Christian. Well, who cares? I will read those counter arguments and evidences later regarding my views on apostasy punishment. But I just wanted to get that sort of thing out earlier because I don't want people to assume that I'm just rejecting it because I'm some sort of like reformist liberal or something, which is ridiculous. All of you know I've been fighting against secular liberalism for like over a decade. Okay, it's nonsense that somebody would accuse me of being reformist or a liberal. Um, the reason that Harris Sultan is gaining popularity in India is because most of the people who are giving him popularity are idiots who want to kill Muslims. So it's not Harris Sultan that's the issue. Any other things we want to talk about? Like I said, I don't want to keep talking about other people because we're sort of also feeding into this culture, remember? Like if we keep talking about these guys, look, let's talk about, I mean, I understand why we're talking about it. I mean, obviously, because it's sort of the context, right? But let's not keep asking the same questions, please. What are my plans after the stream? To be honest with you, I have to complete some other sections on that paper, so I'm going to start maybe tomorrow on that. But in the meantime, after this stream, I think I'm going to play a video game. So, that machine in the background, that's my inversion table. So because remember, I was injured back in the day doing martial arts, so I have arthritis in my back. So I use that to help me. Oh, I played Switch. I don't know what game I'm going to play yet. I'm looking. I beat Paper Mario Origami King. It was amazing, but I still feel like playing it again for some reason. I just liked it that much. I can still do Taekwondo. I still, every now and then. I'm not a Hafid of the Quran. How do you improve vocabulary? You read and you write. Read and write a lot. Don't go on social media and do it. Read books. How to manage my time? Don't sleep. Both the UK and USA Dawah scenes are offensively crap right now. They need to improve drastically. I'm not talking about every organization. I'm just saying like the scene that we see on social media, it's all bad. There are good actors within that scene, but they're being overshadowed by people who aren't minding our principles. I sleep like 4 to 6 hours, depending. Would I go to Speaker's Corner? No, because I don't want to hear people shouting at me. That's annoying. Mario Odyssey is amazing. How to manage time. Keep a list. Understand your limitations. Don't overreach. And best of all, be in an environment where you know for a fact that you are going to be forced to work. Yes, I played Ocarina of Time. It's my first N64 game that I beat. American Muslims are not more liberal than their UK counterparts. I guarantee you that. In fact, we make up a much less significant number within this population than UK Muslims make in theirs. We're also divided much more based on landmass, and the amount of Sunni Muslims in this country is significantly lower than even what the number is purported to be. So, for example, statistics show that in the United States, only 1% or 1.2% of the population is Muslim. But what they count as Muslim in the statistics or in the census, they count every sect, right? So in fact, the reality is that only half of that is actually Sunni. Okay, so actually 0.5%, it's more like 0.5% Sunni in this country, or even 0.6 at most. I have not been to either. I think Sam Harris is washed up. He's a great sophist, but other than that, I mean, he has nothing to offer, which I guess means he has nothing to offer. So. I grew up as a Muslim and abandoned Islamist practice and want to increase my faith. Severe doubts of Not sure how to start. The best way to start a Who would be to find some brothers to motivate you to actually become friends with brothers that you consider to be practicing and knowledgeable in some respects, and just to be around them. Your company, the company that you keep most of all, not people you sit on panels with. I'm talking about people who you actually are friends with. Those individuals will be the ones that influence you at the most. So if you have that encouragement from brothers and sisters, sorry, I don't know if you're a sister, but from brothers, if you're a brother from brothers, then then you can. It's much easier for you to get into practicing again. Okay, and they can also give you references and things like this. Ahmadiyas are not part of Islam. Yeah, you got what I said there, huh? Ismail, Muhammad Ismail. Yeah. I haven't. I've seen Jeffrey Lang. Yeah, I don't really read his stuff. Making hijrah from the West. What does that even mean anymore? Because even if you go to a Muslim majority country, there's going to be Western influence, right? Um, I mean, we live in a global society now. I mean, it's not really anywhere you can go. I mean, it's easier to live in a Muslim majority country, don't get me wrong, in some respects, like eating and being around Muslims and masajid everywhere. But when it comes to like certain things as well, it's also very difficult. Like security is also not as good in certain Muslim countries. Um, you know, health and cleanliness is also not as good in certain places. I'm just being frank. Um, we need to up our game. If we're going to talk about hijrah, we need to actually provide reasons to live in those countries, right? I mean, I'm not saying that our countries are horrible per se. I'm just saying that we also don't have a lot of opportunities economically and education wise. I mean, we have too much of our talent is being exported into Western nations because we're not providing the educational opportunities and work opportunities that they need. You know, our scientists should not be working for NASA and universities here in the United States. They should be working for us in our countries, but we're more concerned with other things that we're not giving them those opportunities. Like I said, there are rich Arabs in the UAE, for example, and princes and kings, and have like unimaginable amounts of money that they could be funding for science programs for universities to make us on par, if not better, than a lot of Western institutions. But we're not doing it. Why? Why? And then instead, our people, our most talented minds leave the country, and then we import Europeans into our countries to do all the work that our own people should be doing. Right? This is backwards. It makes no sense. We want to talk about building the caliphate, returning to the caliphate. We can't even. We're still borrowing from Westerners. Like, what is this? Like, it's like a 4-year-old child who can't feed himself, acting like trying to be like, yeah, I'm gonna own my own house and have my own family, but I still need my mommy to feed me. It's like that's essentially the mentality of the Muslim world right now. Looks like the chat is slowing down. Book recommendations. I may do that later. I have a lot of books. So, multipolar world with China. I don't know. I'm not necessarily afraid of China becoming a powerhouse because it already is, but I am afraid of China becoming a powerhouse at the same time. There's China is such a diverse country that anything really could go with the way that that government is doing. Like the people could, I mean, other countries could be born from China at this point. It's a very complex area region, and I'm legitimately scared what their government is going to be doing in the near future. But at the same time, I don't know if the people per se are going to follow suit. Um, yes, they are. The Chinese government's oppressing the Uyghurs, and they're committing genocide right now. May Allah protect the Uyghur people, and may Allah punish the oppressors. Um, at the same time, though, we also have to consider that there are many Chinese people who are not involved in that and aren't even aware, like living in like the mountains and stuff. No idea what the heck's going on. Um, I think the homelessness rate will increase dramatically, especially in the United States, because we have such high living cost and the expensive food here. A lot of people don't realize, those of you who don't live in the United States, we have a huge problem with homelessness. Yes, we have high living standards, and a lot of people earn better than most people around the world. But here, like, okay, so let me give you an example. When I was living in Malaysia for 7 years, I rarely saw a homeless person, like rarely. Okay, even the poorest people could feed themselves. But here in the United States, we have people literally living on the streets, dying from cold, digging through trash cans to find scraps of food. They're dying from hunger. Okay, and they're everywhere. Like not just one person every few miles. Like there are times I remember I lived in Chicago, and during the wintertime it got so cold that literally, wallahi, I saw this. It was so disgusting. One time I was driving down the road and I saw a mile long of homeless people sleeping on the street, huddled next to each other for warmth. I didn't even realize that there were that many homeless people in the whole city. Okay, like it looked like a train track of bodies. It was horrible, and I've never seen that anywhere else. And they do tend to be minorities, and also veterans and old people and people with disease like mental illness, etc. They will protect us from what's to come. The government, yeah. Look at who we have as a president in this country. You want to talk about the government doing stuff? Come on. Yeah, and also medical care. A lot of people don't realize this. Medical care in the United States is the most expensive in the world. Like their cost of medicine here, the cost of healthcare is so absurd that there are people out there who are, I mean, they don't even go to the emergency room because they can't afford it. Like they would rather suffer in pain and die than have to live with paying those bills. I remember, I've told a lot of people it's stupid. I remember reading a story a couple of years back where a man walked into a bank with a fake gun, and he pointed it and he tried to steal a dollar, a dollar. And then he just sat there waiting for the police to come. And when the police came and arrest him, they asked him like, why did you hold up this bank trying to steal a dollar? Like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Are you mentally unwell? He's like, I have cancer, and in prison, healthcare is free. That was legitimately his reason. He wanted to be arrested to go to prison because he needed healthcare. Okay, that's how bad it is in this country. I know it's just one anecdote, but it's very bad. Okay. So I think a lot of these questions are kind of going back to previous discussion. So please watch the earlier video, the earlier parts of this video. Once again, I do apologize for anything. I want to give my last thoughts here. I thank all of you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for all your support and dua over the years. I don't intend for this necessarily to be my last video. However, I do anticipate that whatever counter refutation comes in my way is going to be full of slander and degradation. So, you know, this ship is already going to be sinking, and I'm going to be canceled from the scene anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But I want you all to take from my work, take from my thoughts, some benefit, so that you can move on and you can continue building something better in the Dawah culture, in this refutation culture. And I want you to expect better from your da'is. I want you to expect better from yourselves. And I want you to inculcate the virtues of integrity and honor in all of the things that you do, even with your enemies. I want you to be able to apologize even to your enemies if you need to, because you value truth over your ego. You value truth over your hatred. And that is the only way we're ever going to move forward as an ummah. So I ask of you, please, if you're going to take any example from me, learn from my mistakes and learn from my attempt at rectification. And I ask of you, please make dua for me, continue to make dua for me, and make dua for yourselves and to better yourselves and better those around you. Make this dawah scene what it should be. Exemplify the virtues that we are supposed to exemplify. And just thank you in general. So, inshallah, I will maybe give you an update in the future. But in the meantime, Jazakallahu khairan. I love you all for the sake of Allah. And may our struggle be rewarded. So, take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.